Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening. Lovely to spend some time on your phone with you or on your computer. Well done, mums in particular. It's been a bit of a week, and dads probably as well, I expect. Homeschooling is a bit of a shock to all of us, including teachers. And if you've managed to do any teaching, then well done, you are absolutely amazing. If you've managed to play and keep the children happy and they're all still alive at the end of the day, regardless of whether you've done schoolwork or not, then that's amazing too, and you should all give yourselves a big pat on the back, because it's just been a really strange time with lots of emotions running high from every single person in the household at different times, I expect. And just weird, this whole social distancing, not being able to go near people, giving people wide berths when we go out for a walk. It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. And then when you're hearing all these terrible stories of people suffering with the coronavirus, or people on their own, or other illnesses that they've got and having to be in hospital on their own, it's just horrible. But I have learnt so much this week as I've been looking at the Bible. One of the passages that I was looking at was in Luke 17 verses 11 to 19, which says, it's talking about the lepers. Now, on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus travelled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well." As we think about all that goes on with this coronavirus, we wait as doctors try to bring it under control, as doctors try to get an immunisation for this horrible physical disease. And we look now at these lepers who also had an awful physical disease, very similar in the way that they were treated to people who have got the coronavirus. Verse 12, they stood at a distance. They were social distancing. They were isolated, and people were keeping away from them. I think about the fact that when Jesus went and died on the cross, he went through that as well. Everybody turned their back on him. Everybody turned away from him and just watched him die on the cross on his own. And not only that, but he felt totally isolated from his Father in heaven. One of his last words were, my God, why have you forsaken me?" He has gone through every single bit of suffering that anyone in this world is going through and has been through. We can take great comfort in knowing that there is nothing that we suffer and go through that Jesus hasn't also been through as well. So these lepers cry out to Jesus, and Jesus sends them to the priests, and they are cleansed. Jesus can heal, and we should pray that God will heal people of their coronavirus and all the other illnesses that people have. We know that Jesus can heal, but sometimes he doesn't, and he teaches us so much in those horrible times when people aren't healed. But there is something that is so much more serious than this physical illness or the physical disease of the coronavirus, and that is our spiritual disease, our deadly disease, our sin, which leads us to death forever. And no doctor can solve that. No doctor can produce an immunisation for our deadly disease of sin. We want to be Lord of our lives, and we can't save ourselves from dying. And yet God sent Jesus, who came to rescue us. He was the one that solved that terrible, terrible, awful disease of sin. In Ephesians 2, verse 1, it says, "As for you, you were dead in your transgressions and sins, in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the Spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient." We were in a deadly state. And yet, verse 4 in Ephesians 2 says, "But because of his great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with Christ even when we were dead in transgressions. It is by grace you have been saved." We have done absolutely nothing. We have found no immunisation. We have found no solution to our eternal death that we are heading towards. But Jesus has. Jesus came and died and took our place so that we are forgiven. We have a wonderful hope of heaven. We can be in a relationship with our loving Heavenly Father. Going back to Luke 17, it says that only one of the lepers came back when he saw he was healed. In verse 15, he came back praising God in a loud voice. And then further on in verse 19, Jesus said, "Rise and go, your faith has made you well." We have got the best immunisation to death. We have been saved. Our future is heaven. Our future is with Jesus, with God. And the challenge there is, do we thank God enough? Do we thank God every single day, regardless of what our day is going to look like, whether it's a good day or a bad day? Nobody can take away from us our hope in heaven, our hope in Jesus. And maybe we should thank God more. Maybe I need to thank God more every single day, whatever circumstances, because we are saved. And I will pray for all of us that we will all learn to thank God in every and any situation, because we are saved from the worst disease possible. And this news is so important for us to work out how to share with our family and friends and those around us. Love you all lots. Can't wait to give you all big hugs and big squidgy kisses. Keep going, you're all doing great, and see you soon. Bye.